It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions.
Touchdown, San Diego!
Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the Dixieline Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, coming off a great sports weekend, we welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, the venerable John Riley, with his opinions from left field. And we welcome you to Hacksaw's Headlines. This podcast brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations to serve you in San Diego. Christmas shopping season is here. Thinking about something different? Think about Christmas gift cards from Dixieline. Think about their big tool display at any of the Dixieline locations. Go to Dixieline.com to see all the things they have to offer. John, it might be December. Baseball is front and center, the topic of conversation. We got that. All things coming out of NFL football. It's now crunch time. Here come the bowl games. Here come the college football playoffs. Man, we got a lot to cover.
A lot to cover. And I'll tell you, the baseball trade rumors are just wild right now.
Yeah, at this point in time, we're going to go a lot of different directions. We do sports talk on this podcast the way it should be done. We put topics on the table, we express opinions, and when we're done, you get the chance to pile in, pile on, make a statement, take a shot, if you wish, in fans forum. John, for everybody who follows us on the live stream, has never participated, how do they become part of sitting around the table here with us?
Yeah, so this is your chance to get involved. Hey, if you got a question, a comment, just you want to sound off on Hacksaw, drop your take in the live chat on YouTube, on X, or on Facebook. We'll get you involved in fans forum.
Or if you want to hit a flare to the guy with his opinions from left field, Fans Forum, the place to do it. We'll put hot topics of the day, respond to those if you wish. If there's something that we've hit hot button before, prior podcast, feel free, jump on board. Fill up the right side of our computer screen. Fans Forum chat box is open for business. John, we are a baseball-centric talk show podcast, and we got a lot to talk about. Get ready for some high, hard ones, because here comes some challenging questions.
Okay, challenging question right now. Why? These rumors about the Padres, why are they going to go to these extremes?
That's the question that I posed that you have posted up on the board. Let's just update you. The Padres went through the winter baseball meetings, gathering information. No transactions yet. Does not mean there won't be transactions. But I ask this. You're conducting expanded trade talks with the Mets, the Yankees, and the White Sox. And we're talking about cornerstone marquee players that San Diego may be offering the Mets, the Yankees, the White Sox in trade talks. Let's run through the rumor mill. The Padres are now having extended talks about Nick Pivetta, Jeremiah Estrada, maybe even Ramon Laureano going to the New York Mets. Why? Because the Mets are really deep in young pitching, led by Jonah Tong and Brandon Sproat and the veteran left-hander David Peterson. Padres evidently are willing to part with name guys if they can get one or two of those younger pitchers back from the Mets. Guys that are right on the brink of proving they can be in the rotation, and guys that are controllable for 4 or 5 years at a time. They are talking to the Yankees about Mason Miller. Yankees are desperate. Mason Miller for hot young starting pitcher Cam Schleter or Luis Gil, or possibly power-hitting outfielder Spencer Jones. Now, here's the question I'm posing. You traded 6 for 2 with the Orioles to make those transactions to get Laureano and to get the first baseman outfielder Ryan O'Hearn. You traded Leonardo DeVries to the Athletics in a package to get Mason Miller. And now the guys that you got, you're going to deal them away after having traded 6 for 2 and a bunch of young guys led by DeVries in the other transaction. Why? Why are we doing this, conducting business this way? We'll talk about that. The other thing is they're talking to the White Sox about Luis Robert again. Robert had back-to-back really good seasons as a young ball player. He's had back-to-back seasons where he's hit .233 and .234 and has been constantly hurt. And anybody that gets him's on the hook for $20 million to $26 million over the next couple of seasons. I ask the question, why with him? Because you're not going to get him for free. So that's where we are as it relates to the Padres. At the end of the day, the Padres just have to be careful as to who they're dealing, why they're dealing, because, John, I look at them stepping across the line. It's like they're going to blow this thing up. Why do you want to trade Mason Miller? Why do you want to get rid of Pivetta after the prices you paid to bring these guys in here at the trade deadline last year? So that's topic one as it relates to Padre baseball. You have an opinion?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think this is great that AJ's exploring everything because he's not emotionally attached to certain players. Well, except maybe, Jerks and Profar back in the day. But he's not emotionally attached. I mean, Mason Miller is an amazing talent. But he sees, he kind of gives a certain value to that guy. And if he can keep flipping guys back and forth, each time incrementally getting more and more value, I say go for it. I mean, we've commented about how he was painted into a corner with this roster. And he had too many big contracts that were weighting everything down. Well, then if he could find a way to get rid of one of those big contracts, that would be a good thing, right? Wouldn't that open up some flexibility? So I'm let him run wild. Right now he's just talking to everybody. I'm open to listening.
I knew you'd come up with something bad from left field. He's doing these deals because whose fault is the roster the way it's constructed? It's his. He created this, and now he's trying to get himself out of this mess that he created. Well, the last group of trades came because of the prior group of transactions that didn't work out, that came as a byproduct of the Soto deal that was good for a little bit of time and didn't work out. It's one
You don't
thing
want him to
after...
fix the mess? You want him just to stay in the mess?
But the mess is going to get worse.
Who knows? I mean, that's why I'm thinking, like, some of these trades, I think he had bad luck. I think the whole Clevenger deal, we gave up a lot of talent in that Clevenger trade to the Guardians. And then Clevenger, hurt his arm. But a lot of other trades have been positive. So, again, this is the golden era of Padre baseball.
Might be past tense golden era.
Well, this year is such a doom and gloomer.
Somebody out there who's a Padre fan, if they trade Pivetta and they move Laureano and then they move Mason Miller, after everything else they traded to get access to those guys, do you think you're going to come away with a better team or a worse team? Fans Forum chat box is open. That's the leadoff topic. You hit leadoff. We'll get you to the front of the line right now. Okay, let's go from why to what's left out there. You got that full board?
Yeah, I do. Look at these names on the list.
Okay. These are the guys that are available that I think they can afford. I revisit Imai, the Japanese pitcher. Now, granted, there are 6 or 7 clubs in the running for him. The Padres are not going to tie up 5 to 7 years on a pitcher. But I would give him state-of-the-art money for the first 3. You want to come here and you want to pitch against Ohtani, pitch here because you'll play him 13 times over the course of a year. And you give him a 3-year state-of-the-art contract. It might be 3 years, $33 million to start. You give him 3 years, he goes back into free agency at age 31. Makes sense to me. By the way, you're on the West Coast. I think your marketing capabilities are better than if you're at Wrigley Field or even at Yankee Stadium. I would revisit Michael King. If I could get Michael King to come back here, even if I have to overpay a little bit. But I give him 3 years. Is it 3 years, 60? Maybe. 65? Maybe. A little bit of a gamble because I've been told baseball people are really concerned about this nerve in the shoulder issue. But if you could get Imai and King and you still have Pivetta, you got yourself pretty good rotation. Zach Gallen is out there, but he reportedly wants 5 years. Chris Bassett is a short-term rental, ex-Athletic, Met, Blue Jay, maybe a 1-year deal. The old guys, they still got gas. It would have to be 1 year for Verlander or 1 year for Scherzer. Now, if you go the right column, are all guys that you have to trade for. I like Luis Castillo. Seattle's got a massive hole at second base. They're trying to move Castillo's contract, which is kind of pricey. How about Cronenworth Castillo? That would solve a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, but I think you're dreaming on that.
Mackenzie Gore, way too expensive in terms of what you had to give up. That's why AJ was trying to get a third team into the deal. Miami's going to move one of the pitchers, the one the Padres, I'm told, really interested in, Edward Cabrera. But at the end of the day, what do you got to trade that Miami needs? Mitch Keller, Pittsburgh? Yeah. Two new names that surfaced over the weekend. I like Ryan PEPIOT. He was the ex-Dodger farmhand. He pitched pretty well in Tampa Bay. Tampa's going to move either he or Shane Baz. New York Mets left-hander David Peterson, very affordable. So there are a second tier of pitchers they can get, not named Gore or Castillo. Boy, but I'd sure like to have IMAI and King to go with Pivetta. That would fix a lot of what ails the Padres. But if you trade Pivetta, you're trading everything away. Okay, that's my list of who's available and how they fix the roster. What do you think?
Well, what if they did a number of things? I mean, if you traded Pivetta to the Mets and got some of their young talent,
led by Jonah Tong.
Yeah, one of those guys, then you freed up $19 million for the year that you can spend on King or on IMAI or one of those guys. So you could flip Pivetta and sign free agents and probably come out even Steven on your payroll.
You'd have deeper numbers. You'd have Pivetta's money to use.
Yeah.
But you would not have Pivetta's 31 starts. You would have Pivetta's money to use, and with the hope you could have IMAI and get King, but you would not have Pivetta the ace of your staff.
No, but it'd be good to have those two guys, and Pivetta might give you 31 starts. Those two combined could probably give you 50.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fans Forum chat box is open. You've seen the list. Tell us what you think. Jump on board. We'll discuss that. Topic 3.
The L.A. Dodgers, the cost of free agency.
This is really unique. There's a big debate going on as to what is really the Dodger payroll right now. They had money coming off the books, but they have guys who have contract bumps that go up, and they just signed the reliever, Edwin Diaz. A lot of people not paid attention to this. By virtue of the acquisition, the cost of Diaz is not just 3 years, $69 million. The Dodgers have to pay a $25 million tax on the Diaz contract because they're at 90% now tax limit because they've been over the luxury tax for so long, for so many years in a row.
90%?
Yes. $25 million tax on the Diaz $69 million contract. They forfeit a second and fifth round draft pick as a penalty for being over the luxury tax limit and signing a mega free agent. They forfeit $1 million in international fees. Here's the stunner.
Amazing.
Here's the stunner. Do you know, as of breakfast this morning, the Dodgers' luxury tax bill is now $181 million.
Oh, my God.
16 teams don't even have that as their full payroll.
Yeah, I believe that.
And the Dodgers are paying $181 million in luxury tax money before they make the next deal. Next deal might be for somebody's left fielder, free agent, or maybe a trade. So there's a lot of debate as to what is the Dodger true payroll. But I'm telling you, the cost of doing business just to get Diaz, and now if you add Kwan or you do something with Kyle Tucker, through the roof. So what do you think about the cost of doing business? You thought your checkbook looked kind of weird.
It's just that, well, they're playing with the same set of rules, but they're playing at a different level than everybody else. And for them, yeah, they could sacrifice the draft picks, the penalties, the tax, the loss of dollar figures for the international draft. Doesn't matter. I mean, the Dodgers are stacked. So again, I don't blame the Dodgers for this, but it is like you were mentioning on our last episode that the Dodger payroll was $405 million. And there were a lot of people on social media that were saying, hey, no, there's no way it's that much. But that's the fully loaded with the payroll tax, right?
Exactly.
And like a portion of that, they're almost having to pay double.
Well, they'll be at 90% tax rate because of what they've spent year by year. And the fact they're so far over, there's different layers of tax rate. They're at 90% tax rate now with the signing of Diaz.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing that they can let go of so much tax dollars and they're still a profitable company.
Yep.
Wow. I mean, again, playing a whole other strategy. It's like 4D chess, man.
Okay, let me ask you this philosophical question. You want me to stand up and yell at you in left field so you can yell back at me with this weird opinion? As angry as people are about, quote, the new evil empire, Dodger Stadium, Dodger dollars and all that, might something good come from this? The Dodgers spend so much more. Even the Mets and the Yankees are whining about it. Is the Dodger spending spree going to be the catalyst for a salary cap and a much higher floor to spending, because baseball's going to come to reality? We got to make the sport better, and we got to control those guys at Chavez Ravine. Do you think that's going to happen?
Oh, I'm sure the owners would want that to happen, but the union is just so damn powerful. You know, they've been fighting this and winning this battle for decades. So does the sport need it? Yeah, probably. And again, the Dodgers are spending a ton, and that doesn't bother me as much. In fact, it's easy to kind of whine about, as a Padre fan, but really, it's their money. They can spend it how they want. But it's the teams at the bottom, the ones that are like...
That aggravates me beyond
That's
belief.
worse. That's worse. So, yeah, there's going to be when's the collective bargaining agreement up? It's coming up like in a year or something.
At the end of the 26th season.
So we're going to come to brass tacks right there. Yes. And that's where we're going to get through this. But it's going to come up, the salary cap, for sure. And it's going to, Dodgers or Dodger fans are going to say, hell no, don't put any limits on what we can do.
Okay, so you got an opinion? Feel free. Pile in. Fans Forum chat box is open. All good things, fun things to talk about in baseball. Bad thing to talk about at Angel Stadium.
Yeah, Angel Stadium, the closing comments in this Skaggs case.
10 o'clock this morning. The lawyers met with the judge. Closing comments from prosecution and defense. We think by late afternoon, this case, the 7-week Tyler Skaggs drug death lawsuit trial, is going to go to the jury by late afternoon. Closing comments in the final hour of testimony on Friday night. John Carpino, the president of the Angels, who delayed before he came to the stand, called Tyler Skaggs a drug addict and a drug dealer. John Carpino said, "We stopped payment on his contract once we found out that he lied about his drug addiction and he hid it from everybody." He said, "The Angels need to be credited. We called the police and we turned our PR director, Eric Kay, in when we found out Eric Kay was in Tyler Skaggs' room the night Skaggs OD'd on fentanyl at the team hotel in Texas. Everybody has made us out to be a bad citizen because we tried to help Eric Kay." John Carpino also said, "You people don't understand. State law prohibits us under the ADA, American Disabilities Act, from going to his computer to find out he was purchasing drugs, from forcing him to have drug tests." He said the ADA laws protect guys, even guys who are drug addicts. He said the lawyers have painted the Angels in a very negative light. We don't deserve to be in that negative light. And Carpino wrapped up with a choked up voice. "We have all the medical care in the world. If Tyler Skaggs had come to us, been honest about his addiction, we would have helped him. If Eric Kay had told us that he had an addiction rather than just bipolar disorder and imbalanced drug meds from his doctor, if he had come to us, we would have helped him. We eventually got him in to psychiatric counseling." John Carpino was really emotional. He was the final guy speaking on behalf of this. So at the end of the day, you're a member of the jury. You're watching this podcast. We have tried to detail for a large chunk of time over the last 7 weeks the most pointed, sizzling testimony. I put this on TV on Saturday morning on KUSI. I almost had a heart attack because I built 3 boards with the most pointed statements that were made. At the end of the day, are the Angels responsible through Eric Kay for that pitcher's death? Or is Tyler Skaggs a drug addict, drug dealer who killed himself because he was dishonest with everybody? You're a baseball fan, you're an Angel fan. If you have followed the story based on the way we've presented it, give us an opinion. And John Riley says,
I don't know what to say after all that. I mean, it's just, if you're in the Angels, you're in a terrible spot. I mean, you don't want any harm to come to any of your players. And they certainly would have probably helped, but they didn't know, to the full extent of this. So, I don't know. I'm just going to look forward to they can close the book on this. And
you're in the jurors box. Who would you say? Who would you vote?
I would vote the Angels are not responsible. So Skaggs is responsible for Skaggs. That's how I would see it, granted with my limited information. But I just want the Angels get back to being a baseball team. And we can talk about their roster and improving the product on the field. It's just a shame that we have to focus on the trial. It's important, but it's a big distraction.
Isn't it interesting? You said exactly what 3 different players said in depositions and when they testified. That Tyler Skaggs was responsible for his own death.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are guys who got drugs from Skaggs. These are guys who were introduced to Eric Kay through Skaggs. Some of these guys snorted oxycodone or pills with Skaggs, but yet they said Skaggs was responsible.
Yeah, no, that's rational and reasonable.
Okay, Fans Forum chat box is open. We have tried to give you all the pointed comments that came in 7 weeks of testimony. It was very complicated. What would you say if you were part of the jury at this hour as this begins? Last topic on the table in baseball, MLB Notebook.
Yeah, we got some free agent signings.
Yeah, let's just roll through this quickly. New York Mets looking for a second baseman. A little bit of a pricey acquisition. Jorge Polanco had 26 home runs last season, Seattle Mariners. He jumps to the New York Mets. Detroit Tigers, Kenley Jansen, ex-Angel, ex-Dodger. 1 year, $11 million deal.
Good for him.
Arizona brings back Merrill Kelly. They had traded him at the deadline. They've re-signed him. He comes off the board. Cardinals, Dustin May, ex-Dodger, ex-Red Sox. I wanted the Padres to make a phone call. Never made the call. He is a St. Louis Cardinal. And the late one this morning, Phillies added Adolis Garcia, the power-hitting outfielder that Texas let go. That was another guy I wanted the Padres to make a phone call on. Did not get to him. Garcia, big bat, Citizens Bank Ballpark. Damn, he's got some home runs in Philadelphia. So that's where we are right now. I went back this morning. There are 12 marquee free agents, John, still unsigned. Kyle Tucker, Bregman, Rio Muto, Bo Bichette, Cody Bellinger, the 2 Japanese sluggers. I mean, it's been silence about those guys. And on the pitching side, Framber Valdez, IMAI, Gallen, Michael King, Ranger Suarez. So there's 12 marquee free agents that are still out there that are probably going to change teams. So you want to comment on what happened over the weekend?
Well, I saw a report that King had narrowed it down to 3 teams.
We believe, yes.
Yeah, so that was, I think it was the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Orioles.
Yes.
But, he's a New England guy. So that's sort of the thought that he might end up going to Boston. You talk about Polanco, haven't there been a number of Polancos in Major League Baseball over the last 10 to 20 years?
Yeah, but this guy's been pretty decent with the bat. He had a couple good years in Minnesota. Went to Seattle, really had a productive year, but they didn't want to pay him the kind of money that he wound up getting from the Mets.
Well, there was a Polanco that was on the Phillies, and I think one was on the Cardinals. Mm-hmm. Wasn't there a Placido Polanco?
Might have been, but that goes back a group of years.
That might have been, yeah. So I get all my Polancos mixed up, But Merrill Kelly, too, that was another name that we were talking about. That Dustin May was a name we were talking about. So it's interesting how things are kind of sorting out. Do you think they're going to take a little bit of a time off during the Christmas season?
No.
A.J. Preller is going to go full bore on Christmas Eve.
So that's where we are. Again, Fans Forum chat box is available. It is interesting. We're now weeks and weeks into free agency. Free agency started in November, and we got 12 marquee guys that are still out there. That's all things baseball. We go to the National Football League. What a Sunday. Wow.
Oh, my God. The games were amazing. Here we go. Chargers-Chiefs, take no prisoner football.
Nice headline. Holy cow. That was violent. That was headhunting. That was full of bad hits. It was a bad ejection. Patrick Mahomes goes down with a flukish torn knee ligament. The Chargers beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium, 16-13. Bolts defense, the last 2 games, last 8 quarters, just playing out of its mind. Had pass interceptions at the 2 and at the 19, all created by a blitz package pass rush. The defense had 5 sacks, 9 tackles for losses, and they pressured Mahomes 17 times in that Sunday victory. Justin Herbert survived his own set of problems, but as they got to the second half, they made adjustments. They went to quicker releases on passes. He got the ball out of there, and they really took Kansas City out of the game. And obviously Mahomes with the torn knee ligament, he's going to be out for the entire offseason into the beginning of next season. The defense. Charger defense, I swear to you, ruined Christmas in Kansas City. They walked into Arrowhead. Brutal. They knocked the Christmas tree down. They kicked the presidents all over the stadium turf. And they just said, bah humbug, Kansas City. Now, the refs were really poor. The refs missed 2 bad pass interference calls in the first half against the Chargers. Set the fans off. Might have changed the whole chemistry of the game because both those blown pass interference non-calls were deep in Charger territory when Kansas City already had the lead in the game. The Bolts are 10-4. The Bolts are the real deal. And what the Bolts are getting done defensively right now with Thule on one side, Khalil Mack on the other, Omahe, the collective unemployed free agent they got from the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, the roster building that Joe Ortiz has done to add ingredients here has made this team really good. The Chargers are playing as good a football as they can. Negative, I hope Tony Jefferson gets suspended. He's the cornerback. He was involved in 2 blatant head hits. One of them got flagged. One of them led to an injection. And then as he walked off the field, he did the double digit with his fingers to the fans. So he deserves to get suspended because he was headhunting. And the blows that he delivered at the start of that game and at the end of the game that got him tossed should not be part of the National Football League. Side story, I had a bad experience late Saturday night. I stayed up and I rewatched the movie Concussion.
Oh.
And so I had all this stuff about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Webster in the movie, and Will Smith was phenomenal in the movie. I had all that on my mind and my heart, and I'm watching Tony Jefferson going for people's heads. I was really upset on Sunday. So Chargers destroy Christmas for the Kansas City Chiefs. They kicked their ass. They really did. And the Chargers got 3 more games. They're all tough. But the way this team is playing right, this team has really come together, and it's just no longer Justin Herbert by himself. What the defensive side of the football is doing is phenomenal. You watched it. You tell me.
Yeah, it seems like Jesse Minter must have had a message for his defense because they were hitting right away. I remember it was one of the first plays from scrimmage for the Chiefs, and Derwin James went and
cut block.
Yeah, he took out the knees of the right tackle
and injured him.
And I'm thinking, oh, that's sending a message. I
bet there'll be a fine for that, just like there should be 2 fines for the hits on Jefferson and the ejection by Jefferson and the obscene gesture by Jefferson.
I saw the obscene gesture too. But it just seems like, that defense was really stepping up. And all the season, we were either getting ready to say chargering, which hasn't quite happened as we would expect, or we were getting ready to write the obituary for the Chargers because of the offensive line has been a shambles, and yet they keep winning. And you're like, how are they doing this? How is Herbert, Mr. Houdini, how is he doing it all?
Well, the defense is putting them in good position. They're getting turnovers, they're getting good field position. They're not letting other teams get into their offense. You look at what they did to Jalen Hurts a week ago Monday, Philadelphia, and what they did to Mahomes. It was carbon copies. I mean, here
2 Super Bowl teams.
Yeah, here comes a damn pass rush. Just amazing. So you're a Charger fan. You're a Kansas City fan. Fans Forum chat box is open. I mean, they are really playing on the edge, but I was really offended by Tony Jefferson's headhunting. I thought that's really bad for the National Football League. And again, this is the aftermath of what I did Saturday night, drinking a glass of wine, watching the movie Concussion, which you need to see.
Yeah, you've told me about that. That's a moving movie.
Okay, we go from there to the NFL scoreboard. What a weekend.
What a weekend. And, the Rams just keep rolling.
Real deal. Detroit. What was Detroit known for? Tough-ass defense. Big plays on offense. Tough-ass defense gave up 519 yards to Matthew Stafford and the Rams. They were so impressive. Stafford throws for 368, 2 touchdowns. Running backs added 159. Puka Nacua had 9 catches for 181. Now, there was a guy who got dinged. Devontae Adams went down with a hamstring injury. But they were just phenomenal. There were 51 first downs in that game because the Lions were chucking the ball down the field, too. Jared Goff finished with 338 and 3 TDs. So the Rams are sitting there. Just absolutely amazing. However, short work week. They got to go to Seattle Thursday. That's an equally tough game, especially the way the Seahawks are playing. So Rams, they really destroy Detroit. Denver has now won 11 in a row. And Bo Nix, who was really erratic the first third of the season, just keeps doing this, gets better and better. Bo Nix throws for 303 and 4 touchdowns. Broncos are now 12-2. They wore down the Green Bay Packers. 2 picks, quarterback sack. Green Bay loses Micah Parsons, torn knee ligament. It was a terrible day for injuries around the NFL. How about Buffalo? Buffalo gets up off the turf. They're down 21-0 in Foxborough in the second quarter, and the Bills come from behind and win. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. 3 more touchdown passes. James Cook ran for 107, couple of more scores. They snapped the Patriots' 10-game win string. I hate to say I told you so, but New England had compiled that win streak against a lot of bad teams, and they faced a good team, and look what happened. Buffalo came from 3 touchdowns back to win that game. So those were the marquee games. What do you think?
Yeah, that was a hell of a weekend. I mean, here's just 3 games, but there's so many others to talk about. The Rams are just so damn impressive, And it's like they're like the Dodgers. They just keep winning, and they got a really good personnel, and they just keep getting it done.
With a salary cap.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It was interesting hearing the storyline about Broncos and the Packers because the Packers, I think, were 1-7, playing at Mile High, so they got another dose of Bronco football.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, altitude also.
That explains part of it. The other thing is that with the Patriots Bills, I saw a post from Dave Portnoy, the guy from Barstool Sports, and he's a Patriots guy, and he was all fired up, we're going to kick their ass. And then that was like, around halftime. And then the Buffalo Bills came rolling back, and, Josh Allen in the snow, it's kind of made for him in that moment.
Yeah. So that's what we are. Those are the marquee games. There were other games. Just going to go through this real quick for you. Seattle. They beat Indianapolis. Jason Myers, who, by the way, is from here. He's from Chula Vista. Jason
Really?
Myers, 6 field goals for the Seahawks.
Wow.
I mean, it was a hard to move the game offensive night. Phillip Rivers, he threw for 120.
Good for
threw
him.
A touchdown, threw a pick, ran the ball a lot. He got pounded a little bit. He looked a little slow. This does not look like the vintage Phillip Rivers that we're so used to with the San Diego Chargers. But he hung in there. Seahawks are 11-3 on the season. Boy, Sam Darnold is just finding a way to get it done. And now the Seahawks Thursday, they get the Rams. Jacksonville. This is hard to believe. Trevor Lawrence, to quote Jim Rome, drug test. Trevor Lawrence is having an unbelievable season with Liam Cohen.
Yeah, finally.
Trevor Lawrence throws 5 touchdowns yesterday, throws for 330 in Jacksonville's win over the Jets. The Jaguars, they're going to be in the playoffs. They're 10-4 on the season. Dallas. Cowboys lose to Minnesota last night. Not good. Dak Prescott, up and down the field. He threw for 294. No touchdown. He never got the ball in the end zone. Weird night, though. CeeDee Lamb and George Perkins didn't catch the ball at all. Between them, at one point, they only had 8 receptions, all for short yardage. I don't understand what the hell's going on with those wide receivers, except the fact that Minnesota's defense did a pretty good job in coverage, so that was a bit of a surprise. Cleveland. Not a good day for Shedeur Sanders in Chicago. 3 picks, 5 sacks, and at one point, they were at the end of the third quarter, he had only 7 completions. He was playing a real defense. The Browns got smoked by Da Bears. Raider Nation. Boy, have I got some questions for you. No, I got some questions for those of you wearing the silver and black, a.k.a. silver and bleak. Raiders get just destroyed by the Eagles. When in modern-day NFL football would you see a final stat sheet in which one team had 387 yards, the other team had 75? When would you see a stat sheet where one team had 27 first downs and the losing team had 7?
Oh, my God.
That was the imbalance between the Eagles and the Raiders down here. Has Pete Carroll lost the team? Has Pete Carroll lost his ability to coach the team? Has the team quit on Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll's press conference today, I watched it. I hate this. I am not going to quit. We're going to get through this. We thought we'd turn it around a lot quicker. That's all the things that Pete said today. He was right on the edge of losing his mind with the media. They do have 11 draft picks. They're going to have maybe $116 million in salary cap space. But to me, it looks like Raider football, like they've reached the breaking point. I mean, look at that stat sheet. Philadelphia had 387 yards in offense, and the Raiders had 75. I've never seen in modern-day NFL football.
That was Kenny Pickens, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but he couldn't play any better than Geno Smith.
Interesting.
I've never seen in modern-day football an offense have 75 yards in total offense.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that was awful. And the last one, Cincinnati Bengals. They just keep playing, and they keep losing. Bengals are now 4-10. Joe Burrow looks beaten. It would not stun me to see Joe Burrow announce in the winter, I'd like to be traded. I just don't want to be here anymore. Because I got nothing around him, and he just keeps throwing picks. He keeps getting pounded along the way. So you got a comment about the haves or the bottom group there, logos, have-nots?
Well, that Seahawks-Colts game was a lot of fun to watch, and the whole time I'm just rooting for Rivers out there, and you could tell he's a little bulkier, in the torso, and so he's like an upside-down Weeble, the way he kind of wobbles.
He's a little slower getting the ball out of there.
Yeah, he was very slow, and then he had that one slip on the turf where it was painted, and you're like, oh, man, you're kind of feeling it with him, and he had the touchdown pass, and that was great, and I saw a video clip of the high school team that he coaches.
In Alabama.
Yeah, and they were watching it on the big screen at like a pizza place or something, and they're all excited that their coach just threw a touchdown pass. That was a fun game to watch.
And they just announced this morning he's going to be the starter next week.
Perfect. Okay, that's terrific. Terrific news. The Cowboy game was interesting to me, not because of the Cowboys, because of the Vikings. And, like Collinsworth was talking about how, the coaches were telling J.J. McCarthy, don't think, just go through your reads, 1, 2, 3. And he's just reading it and reacting, and he made some great plays. He had that kind of that little quarterback, Houdini bit where he got the ball and slipped to the left and scored. So I like seeing that youthful enthusiasm.
He's ballsy.
He is. And, and I want O'Connell to be successful. I would hate for him to get run out of Minnesota because I think he's a really good coach.
But I think we see real upside in J.J. McCarthy in terms of quick release, cannon for an arm. But we also see him do stuff he should not do, which is why he's got so many bloody turnovers. He's just a young guy learning on the job.
Well, did you see the bit about how they broke down his mechanics?
Yeah.
And his back leg, his right foot, comes up out of the air like a pitcher, whereas opposed to the quarterbacks that are accurate, keep that back foot down. So he's got a lot to learn, but I'm happy for him. And the Shedeur Sanders thing was a bummer. I mean, going to it was, what was it, 28-3? Was that the score?
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was
30, I think it was 34-3 maybe.
34-3. Yeah, I saw the box score, and I immediately went and looked, and I saw the 3 picks for Shedeur, and I'm like,
5 sacks.
Yeah, but, it's not like he's surrounded by all-pro talent on that team either. I think he's shown enough that he's a competitor.
And he's an athlete.
And there was one pass that he threw to one of his receivers down by the pylon that was like right in the numbers.
And Jerry Jeudy gave it up.
And he missed it. Now, granted, he had a guy cloaking him, defensively, but that was a perfect pass that didn't get completed.
Yeah. So Raider Nation, you're avoiding talking about the Raider Nation?
Well, I'm encouraged by what you said about the number of draft picks. Was it like
Yes,
11 out of it's for 7 rounds, right?
Yes.
So, okay, that'd be a nice haul. And then there's a lot of cap space.
Is Pete Carroll the right guy?
We were saying he was the right guy for years, you know, and now suddenly he's not. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just that roster is so deficient talent-wise. You know, I mean, if you're arguing between Geno Smith and Kenny Pickett, I mean, pick your poison, right?
Just do what I recommended a week ago. Raider fan, bring your sign. Mark Davis, sell the team.
Well, yeah. You got to close the book on the Davis family.
I think the composite record of Raider football since Mark Davis took over, 137 wins, 240 losses.
They ain't getting it done.
Mark Davis, you are not your father. That's the ultimate insult.
Yeah, it is.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Okay, you got opinions? Fans Forum chat box is open. If you don't join us, that's on you. You're missing your chance to tell the world what you think. What an unbelievable first half we've had. This podcast brought to you by Dixie Line Lumber and Home Centers. Dixie Line, so many locations in Southern California. Just a reminder, yes, they are a lumber company. Dixie Line deals with all the contractors, but they have something special. I call them stocking stuffers for Christmas gift cards, and I'll tell you, the tool section of the stores at Dixie Line Lumber, John, they're just absolutely phenomenal. Take it.
Yeah, like if you've got a dad or an uncle that's a do-it-yourselfer guy that's got the garage all tricked out like the TV show Home Improvement, yeah, this is the place to go. You'll get all the great power tools from all the top brands. Plus a lot of, it's interesting, Dixie Line carries a lot of things for your home that you would never find in an Ace Hardware, you know, just like special kind of lighting, and there's different things that they have that are not what you would find in a traditional hardware store. Plus, they have the design folks, the design studio in Solana Beach that you can help plan out major additions for your home, door and window trade-ins. Excuse me, door and window replacement projects. They're very good at. So, yeah, you can make a stocking stuffer. Get one of those little gift cards. Or put in a little special note for the wife. Hey, we're gonna upgrade the decking in the backyard. That's your Christmas gift.
It's a memo.
Yeah.
Memo to the wife. This is what I want for Christmas. Dixie Line. Go to DixieLine.com, see all the things that they have to offer. We are at halftime. A lot of topics on the table before we go to the second half. Just a reminder, when we're done, because we do sports talk the way it should be done on this podcast, we express opinions. We let you express your opinion on the hot topics on the table. It's called Fans Forum. John, have we burned out the computer yet? Got a lot of people?
Yeah, we do. I'm going to read some names here. KQ and Michael and what is that? One for All. And I see Richard. And I see Daniel, Callan, Hector. I see, who is that? EJS Pod, Carlos. Did I say Richard? Everyone's in the line. It's hard to get everybody in. It's so popular. I try not to get repeats, so if there's one question you really think is the most important one to pick, give us a clue, because some of you are posting 3 or 4 times.
Okay. Fans Forum coming up right at the end. You like sports? Check my website. It's there the first thing every morning, LeeHacksawHamilton.com. You won't believe the volume of information I write on my website. Want you to join my insiders group. You can do that when you go to the homepage of the website. There's an orange box. Fill it out. You'll get on the email list. We send out 2 newsletters a day. They'll be in your email box in the morning and then 1 in the early evening. 2 newsletters a day, so jump on board there. Got to read my one man's opinion about what happened at Arrowhead Stadium yesterday if you're an NFL fan. We got that. Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the alerts every time we post additional videos up on the YouTube channel. Want you to give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star rating. Hit the follow button. That really helps us. Hey, everybody watching on live stream, hit the damn follow button. That helps us grow this podcast a great deal. As John said last week, I did not realize, because I don't keep score that often, we're almost to 10,000 followers. Can you imagine that? 10,000 Want to hear what I got to say or what this guy says from left field?
Yes.
Just
Well, subscribers on YouTube, we're like getting close to 10,000.
Very good. So lots of ways for you to follow us. And again, we're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. You ready for the second half?
The second half, yeah. There's a lot to talk about in the world of college football.
Yeah, we're going a lot of different directions. Here come the playoffs, but there are a lot of storylines. College football playoffs begin this week. Bowl games, obviously, beginning this week, too. Let's talk about the University of Michigan situation. Sharon Moore, gone into seclusion. There's a history of trouble with this dude going back at least the last 2 years. There's a bigger history at the University of Michigan. 5 sets of NCAA violations over a 10-year span. You know the old favorite phrase Bo Schembechler used to use, Michigan man? Maybe you shouldn't be hiring Michigan man anymore. Lawyers on that campus have begun a full-scale evaluation. I think when they're done, they're going to clean house in the athletic department at the University of Michigan. And then the next question, who wants to go coach there? Who can they get to hire there? This thing is messy. Utah, this came out of nowhere. Kyle Whittingham has stepped down. He's retiring from Utah. He's not retiring from coaching. I don't know whether he was burned out. He's had nothing but success there. His record in Salt Lake City is 177-83. You know, when he got done at Utah, they kind of dominated the Pac-12. They went to the Big 12 and have done really, really well, too. So that's a stunner. But the insinuation is he's going to coach again somewhere. Maybe he winds up at Michigan. But he's leaving Utah. Heisman Trophy. I voted for a quarterback. I voted for the winner, Fernando Mendoza.
Good.
I kept
call.
changing my mind. I bet I had 6 different players in and out of the top slot during the course of the college football season. But just based on who he won, when you consider Indiana won at Oregon, Indiana won at Penn State, Indiana beat Ohio State.
Yeah.
I had to give him the vote.
Scoreboard.
Yep, scoreboard, baby. I was very impressed. I was a little surprised Diego Pavia from Vanderbilt wound up second. I thought he'd get Deep South votes. I didn't think he'd get as much nationally. No doubt, the great running back Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame, he drew a lot of votes in the Midwest. A little bit surprised that Julian Sayin of Ohio State finished a really distant 4th. Maybe it's because he's a redshirt freshman. Maybe it's because he's surrounded by such great, great talent. I'm really bothered, though. Do you have a pencil with an eraser? Could I take my pencil and erase Pavia's name off my ballot?
Really?
What he did at the ceremony, at the press conference leading in, the way he acted in the ceremony, the way he acted after the ceremony, was really negative. It really put him in a bad light, all-time ass. Why would he say and talk in such negative fashion about Mendoza? Why would he talk and just ridicule every one of the Heisman Trophy voters? And why would he act at a party?
What did he see? What did he say?
He said he didn't think Mendoza was the player that Pavia was at Vanderbilt. And again, Pavia had over 4,000 all-purpose yards. He's the reason they won 10 games. And Mendoza's playing a big-time schedule all the time. Anyhow, so he kind of denounced Mendoza. That's a negative. He acted like an ass at the press conferences. Why are all the media around Mendoza instead of over at my table?
This is the pre-show or post-show?
Pre-show.
Pre, okay.
Then he went partying afterwards, and he had some type of screen. Maybe it was on a belt, and it said, F Indiana. I mean, if you want to drink, that's fine. You want to make a public embarrassment of yourself, that's fine. But you besmirched the whole Heisman process.
I didn't know all this.
And then he insulted all the voters, me included. Do you have a pencil with an eraser?
Yeah.
Well, I've never seen anybody, and I've seen some real jerks that got votes, may have gotten my vote. Johnny Manziel was one of them. This is beyond anything I've ever seen. And the kids spent all day Sunday night and this morning trying to apologize for being an all-time ass. What a huge disappointment he was. Shouldn't be that way. So we got that. Great story. Positive story. I'm going to put an asterisk next to the statement I'll make. Florida Gators' new coach, John Summerall, came from Tulane. As he was saying goodbye to his players, he presented the players a $100,000 check to go into the Tulane NIL fund as he left to take the Florida Gators job.
Nice.
Yeah. Lane Kiffin, did you do that at Ole Miss?
Yeah,
No, I don't think so. We got that. Stanford, this guy was a real gentleman, just passed away, age 91, Paul Wiggin. Great football player, old Cleveland Browns. Any of you deported from Cleveland like I was, he was a great player in the 60s with the Browns. Former head coach at Stanford, head coach Kansas City Chiefs, longtime NFL assistant head coach, passed away at the age of 91. Real gentleman. Aztecs, Chris Johnson. I started asking about him 2 years ago at Sean Lewis's press conference. I was so impressed with the kid's ability to cover, his athleticism. Chris Johnson this afternoon, right before I came here, named second-team All-American.
Good for him.
Good for him is right. Aztecs lose another assistant coach. Rob Orrick, of course, already went to Nebraska to become their defensive coordinator, job he earned. He's just taken one of the other defensive coaches, the linebacker edge rush coach, Roy Manning. He's going to Nebraska with Orrick.
Interesting.
So, but that's a credit to Sean Lewis.
Yeah, it
Good
is.
coaches, people going to come pluck them.
Yeah.
So that's all things college football. Go ahead. You talk about the mess at Michigan, Whittingham. I'm waiting for the pencil with the eraser on what Pavia did. Go ahead, John.
Well, when I didn't see the press conferences leading up to this or the after press conference. I just watched the show, the presentation show, and they go too long, an hour for the Heisman. But they did. I thought Diego Pavia was a pretty interesting guy, you know, and I was thinking to myself, this guy had a hell of a season, and he had overcome so much, you know, to get, you know, in junior college, and then he had to go play at New Mexico State before he got to Vanderbilt, and, you know, so I found myself rooting for him. But going in, I thought this was Mendoza's award to lose. I mean, you figure that it's just been a Cinderella story of what they did at Indiana. And by the way, did you see that Indiana was featured on 60 Minutes last night?
Yes.
That was kind of cool. But anyways, Mendoza, you know, he handled himself a little. He wasn't quite as enthusiastic, which was nice for him.
But it was a real honest, open, from the heart speech.
Yeah.
He wasn't reading off a teleprompter, I'll guarantee you that. I was very impressed with the person, his standards, and again, what he's experienced, family illness, what he experienced at Cal, virtually no scholarships, and look where he is with the trophy.
Yeah. I mean, he's done it all, and he's kind of squeaky clean. He tries to say everything just the right way, and I give him credit for that. But sometimes I get a little
tired of it.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So anyways, the Florida story is great. You know, you're hearing that story about him going out the door and paying for the NIL. That's almost like, you know, they've talked about having, what do they call that? Where people have been poached, like poaching fees for NIL players. And I'm sure the same thing happens with coaches. So it's nice for the coach to kind of ease the pain, you know, for the team that he's leaving. And good on Chris Johnson, second team All-American. I mean, that means he's probably going to be in the first couple of rounds of the draft, right?
Very much so.
That's a nice coup for the Aztec Nation, so good for them.
Okay, that's all things college football. You want to talk about being a Michigan man, what happened at Utah? Would you erase Pavia's name from your Heisman Trophy ballot? Go ahead. Hey, I'm sorry. There's an awful lot of topics here. We do sports talk the way it has to be done. We cover topics, and then we obviously have opinions about those topics. Quickly, let's go to the NBA.
The NBA, yeah, we got a big story here with the Lakers.
Please tell me who they are. And the record is impressive, but what real kind of team is it? The Lakers get knocked out of the NBA Cup by San Antonio, which does not have Victor Wembanyama. And now they lose Austin Reeves with a calf injury for 4 weeks. Now, there's no doubt Luka is having a great first half of the season, averaging 33 points per game. We're waiting for LeBron to have these explosive moments and start to dominate games. but they're 18-7, and they are the back end of the statistics defensively. They're ranked anywhere from 18th to 30th in different defensive metrics.
Weird.
So, but they're 18-7, but they haven't played a hell of a lot of good teams. So, who are they? You tell me.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, I am just so caught up with football and everything. I haven't given enough time to the NBA yet. I'm just sort of dabbling in watching it. I depend on you for all the updates.
Oh, you get the updates. Go ahead. Let's go from NBA to talk Hockey Hotline.
Hockey Hotline. I know there was a big trade you were texting me about over the weekend.
There were two big trades in a span of 12 hours. Edmonton pulls off this huge deal with the Pittsburgh Penguins. You take my goaltender that I can't handle anymore. I'll take your goaltender because you got a salary cap problem. It turned out actually being a 5-player transaction. Edmonton Oilers trade controversial goaltender, his hometown kid, Stuart Skinner. He goes to the Penguins along with defenseman Brett Kulak and a second-round pick, and they get Penguins' top young goaltender Tristan Jarry. They've got all kinds of cap problems in Pittsburgh. Jarry had a couple of really good years and had an injury, has not quite bounced back, but Edmonton's got a new goaltender, so they get Tristan Jarry. Got to be better than Skinner, whom you just couldn't trust, especially in postseason play. And then that was followed by what Vancouver did with the Minnesota Wild. Huge 4-for-1 trade. And I hate this because Vancouver has shredded all their players. It's obvious to me now, massive rebuild job. They traded high-scoring all-star defenseman Quinn Hughes. He goes to Minnesota in a 4-for-1 deal for Marco Rossi, a really good center iceman, a number 1 pick, another good young defenseman, and the rights to a European player. A 4-for-1 trade. Vancouver didn't know if they could re-sign Quinn Hughes. Now it's Minnesota's decision. But Minnesota's going to get him for 2 years before he becomes a walk free agent. So your thoughts about Stuart Skinner going for Tristan Jarry, and your thoughts about Vancouver giving up on the season by trading their top player, Quinn Hughes, and he goes to Minnesota.
Wheeling and dealing.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'd imagine the Edmonton fan must be like thrilled.
Yes.
You know, that they may have finally solved this problem with their goalie. I mean, because we were talking about Skinner a lot, you know, going into the playoffs last year, and he would just implode sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's common, though, that when they're having a bad night, I mean, they get pulled in the middle of the game and someone new goes in.
But this is the franchise with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And this team has not been able to win a Stanley Cup yet with two of the greatest individual players, and primarily because the goaltending has been so streaky.
Yeah. Well, hopefully problem solved here.
Yep, concur with you. Okay, Hockey Hotline is open. Your fans forum, the old Canada Network, is invited to jump on board. Final topic on the table before you, the fans, take over this podcast.
Let's go to the high-speed sports wire. Kick it off with NASCAR.
This is going to sound strange. What does history write about what just happened in the antitrust lawsuit? Michael Jordan testifies on the stand, stands up and points at the prosecution's table and points at the France family sitting at that table and said, "You think we're going to allow you to continue to operate like a dictatorship? This should be a partnership." And then he went on with his statement about all the teams losing money while the France family was putting $400 million in their own bank accounts in one calendar year. So what does history write? This is weird. Finally, it flashed in front of my mind yesterday thinking about this. Michael Jordan, black man, calls out redneck, racist owner NASCAR.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
And then his final comment was, "I'm new to this sport. I came from the NBA. In the NBA, players have rights. And when we get done in this court case, these owners and all of our drivers, we're going to have rights too." And they settled the lawsuit the morning of the final day of testimony.
That's great.
MJ, holy cow.
Greatest of all time.
So we got NASCAR. FIFA, soccer. Remember the movie? Gordon Gekko, Greed is Good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. FIFA. Now, I know you got a lot of money. You live in this castle here, this gated community. Yeah. Okay. You want to go to the first round of the World Cup next summer?
Oh, the ticket prices?
Yes. Start at $180, go to $700 for the first game, first round.
Okay.
Playing games. You want to go to the finals? $4,100 to $8,000 per ticket. And this is FIFA that promised to make it available to everybody globally and make it available for all the American soccer fans. $4,100 to $8,000. That's the price range to see the finals.
That's going to be in New York City.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of corporate money going there.
Just amazing. As you would say, FIFA is correct. Final topic, USA track and field. I don't understand this at all. You know, we have so many great athletes. There's so much money corporately across America. We've had all these leagues and these other sports start. And track and field can gain no traction. Michael Johnson, the legendary sprinter, has now filed for bankruptcy. He put together a track and field group. They're $19 million in debt. They only ran 3 events this past summer, had to cancel the last one. They can't pay their bills. They tried to work out a settlement with all the vendors, the stadiums for Grand Slam track. Nobody would accept the deal, so he's given up. He's filed for bankruptcy. He's in debt for $19 million. So we have all these corporate sponsors. We have all these shoe companies. Nobody would step forward to help Michael Johnson put on Grand Slam track, because I guarantee you the whole world runs. Everybody wears shoes and equipment. Why would not somebody invest to prop this up and make it viable? Because we got everything else. Christ, we got from the growth of the WNBA to lacrosse to flag football. All these other things are starting, and there's nobody to step forward to help the Grand Prix of track. And track and field is huge as it relates to the Olympics, and we need a place for our great people to compete in the non-Olympic years. It was kind of really stunning. Michael Johnson, $19 million in debt. And all the guys that ran in the 3 Grand Slam events have only gotten 50 cents on the dollar that they were owed as appearance fees. It's just kind of really weird. So go ahead. Talk about MJ. Talk about your ticket prices. Talk about track and field.
I like the whole MJ story. I think it's just fantastic. And they were showing a picture of him coming out of the courtroom, and he's wearing like a baggy suit from the 90s still, you know. But MJ is a Renaissance man. You know, he's more than a ball player. You know, he's an icon. He's a businessman. He's a NASCAR guy. So I just think it's terrific.
Oh, and he said players have rights, and we're going to make sure these drivers and these owners have rights. Wow.
Yeah, that's good stuff, you know. And then the FIFA story, I expect those tickets to be expensive. You know, of course, it's FIFA, but they're going to sell it. You know, it sounds crazy to us, but there are people that are going to spend that money, especially the corporations. They're going to, you know, buy a pack of 100 tickets. You know, they're going to find a way to schmooze with those dollars. And then the Team USA, I saw your write-up about Michael Johnson and the Best 15, and he's taken on all this personal debt to fund this pro league, which is kind of odd. You think you would incorporate the pro league so your own assets are protected. But at any rate, for me, I can't imagine wanting to have a professional track and field. It just seems like I just enjoy it once every 4 years in the Olympics. I don't necessarily need a season during the year, or maybe for some people that's their thing, but I don't get it.
They've got a European league that holds international meets, global meets every summer. But I would have thought with all the other things that have been created from a sports entity, why not track and field? Well, we've got so many great sprinters, and we've obviously are great distance runners, and you know, high jumpers and pole vaulters. And why would you not have a pro league so these guys can help grow the sport during the non-Olympic years stateside?
Well, it's kind of like there's no like professional gymnastics league, you know. There's certain things that I don't know if they translate to a pro game. Now, granted, I know if you're a runner like Michael Johnson, you think that running needs to be at that same level as football and basketball and baseball and everything else, but I still don't get it. I don't get it as a pro league.
Hey, you got opinions? We've told you ours. We want to hear yours. Time now for Fans Forum. This podcast, Monday bonus podcast, brought to you by Dixieline Lumber and Home Centers. Lots of locations. Thinking Christmas stocking stuffers? Think a Dixieline gift card. Go to Dixieline.com, especially for those do-it-yourselfers. You won't be shocked at all the things they have to offer. Great stocking stuffers, Dixieline.com. John, we got an hour here. Let's get as many on as we can. Fans Forum, it's your turn to be part of this podcast.
Okay, let's go here to Casey to kick it off. Hey, good afternoon, guys. Hacksaw, what a game by my Rams yesterday, as it was a wild victory. How do you see the matchup on Thursday in Seattle versus the Seahawks going?
A little bit concerned about Devontae Adams and the hamstring. Puka also went out. Puka got dinged up a little bit. It was a neck spasm, but they say he's good to go. They don't, at this point, they don't have a decision on Devontae. But boy, turnaround. That game with Detroit, that was big, that was physical, that was up and down. It's a tired football team, the Rams are right now, and they're going to have to take a deep breath and come back, get on the plane on a short work week and go in there on Thursday. I think the Rams have much more firepower than the Seahawks do, but Seattle's got a really rugged defense, so Matthew Stafford's going to be under fire. It's a huge game. I thought Sunday's Rams-Lions game, that was all things playoff atmosphere. What do you think Thursday's going to be like at Lumen Field? That place is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the fans are fired up for that. And I remember being there one Sunday afternoon, and I was with my family, and we were traveling, and we were in Seattle, and it was on NFL Sunday there. And the fans come out in downtown, and it's a great environment there. So it was interesting. Oh, by the way, when I was watching the game, the Colts Seahawks, I was thinking to myself, what the hell is a Seahawk? I don't usually hear about Seahawks. And so I Google it, I'm watching the ball game. And apparently it's an osprey, which is the bird, that's the legit, name for it. But Seahawk is sort of like a broader term. I think there are osprey, equivalents like in inland lakes too.
Well, there's lots of water up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I had firsthand experience. I went up there and did 3 years of Seahawk football on radio. That is such a vibrant place. And they built that stadium right on the site of the Kingdome. Right out, it's called Pioneer Square. It is right, and it's right next to the baseball stadium. Oh, it's so cool. And that is a big-time football region.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, they came out in force. By the way, those guys are getting pummeled with rain right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just really brutal, like floods up there.
Yeah, there are 12 inches of rain on the Oregon-Washington border, and then northwest of Seattle, really bad, too. But
I know, if I'm going to make the call on this game, I think the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks. I mean, the Rams just seem invincible.
But again, that's outdoors. And 2 weeks ago, Matthew Stafford played in the rain in Carolina, turned it over 3 times, and they lost.
Interesting.
But huge game. I mean, the implications of this game in terms of home field advantage, huge.
Yeah, right on.
Okay, we move on. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, let's go down the list here. We'll go to Michael. Hey, love Hacksaw, back to KTAR, 6 to 10 p.m. when I was high school in the mid-'80s.
Yeah, that's where I pioneered sports talk radio. I was the first one to do it really differently. I've told John the story about when I first got to Phoenix. KTAR was a big news talk regional station, and they had been doing sports talk at night, and they were the flagship for the Suns, and they carried Dodger baseball. They were the Arizona flagship for Dodger baseball, so we had a lot of play-by-play, and their sports talk was nice radio, mom and pop radio.
Yeah.
Nice. Everything's nice. Well, I got there, and I was hired by a program director who had been in Cleveland when I worked in Cleveland, so he knew what I was all about. And on my way to go to Phoenix, this would have been May of 1981, baseball went out on strike. First time. That was ugly. And on my way, NCAA put the Sun Devil football program, which owned the market, put them on 5 years probation in the aftermath of Frank Kush. And on my way, the Phoenix Suns, who had the best record in the NBA, the Alvin Adams, Walter Davis Phoenix Suns, home court advantage for the whole thing, got knocked out in the first round despite home court advantage. So I walk in the front door, and I'm introduced to the staff. I said, guys, we're going to do sports talk really differently. It's not going to be nice guy radio. And I hit the floor that first night with, here's what's going on in the world of sports. Here's what Lee Hamilton thinks, damn it. And I put all these topics on the table, and the town went haywire. Who the hell is this guy to tell us what we're supposed to think about his topics on the... And then the newspaper guys, both newspapers had radio TV columnists. They bought the bait. They jumped in with both feet on me, and they were writing every day about me.
Cool.
So the baseball, John, the baseball strike, I think lasted almost 4 months. I was on the air as
It's Michael.
Michael, I can't read the name. As Michael would say, I was on the air. I think it was, I want to say 51 straight nights of 4 hours of me screaming and yelling. It was just
Who is this man in the box?
That's right. That is what's coming out of my radio, and that's how we set the standard for what sports talk would be. And nobody had ever done it that way before in the Valley of the Sun. And then I came here. We did the same damn thing here because I was the first one through the wall here on a 77,000 watt blowtorch signal. So that's where it was.
Well, I remember when we first met, you came over and did an interview on my podcast show, and you told the story about how you piled all of your stuff in, was it a Corsair or some kind of a car?
No, Toyota Corolla.
It was a Toyota Corolla.
Without air conditioning.
Yeah,
Stupid ass.
and you were driving from Cleveland to Phoenix, and you were cooking up the ideas for
how
some
I was going to package it.
Yeah, like all the hacksaw shtick was, part of that long drive between Cleveland and Phoenix, and then you just came out all guns a-blazing.
Just 51 straight days of 4 hours of me. It was just unbelievable. And everybody was piling in. It was just
good.
Or piling on, whatever.
Yeah, shake it up.
I don't. Maybe we'll get one of these holidays where we're going to take a night off. Maybe you could run that podcast that you and I first did.
Oh, yeah.
About the history of hacksaw.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's still in your YouTube channel because I have it on my podcast channel, but it's also on yours. So, if you just look up the history of talk radio, and that where you talk about all the 690 stuff, but it was also the origin story of Lee Hacksaw Hamilton.
How I got there. Okay, good point. Thanks for asking that question.
Okay, let's go here to Richard. He goes, Fans Forum. He goes, let AJ run wild. You need some serious help, John. AJ is the cause of this mess. Motivated by beat LA. The bill is due and your bank account is overdrawn. Fire sale, rebuild. Reality sucks.
See, he thinks you're wrong from being out in left field, too.
No. See, I just want, when I say let AJ run wild, I mean call everybody, be hound dogging the other GMs, trying to work deals, trying to parlay what you've got and flip it and get greater value, because that's the only way this thing's going to get fixed. And he's done that before where he's traded a quantity of people for one or two guys and then later on flipped those one or two guys for a quantity of people. I think Soto is an example of that. So he's going to have to use these trades to creatively upgrade the team, and every year he seems to pull a rabbit out of his hat.
But as Sir Flores says, he created this situation.
Well, so then he needs to fix the situation, And so you're probably not going to trade Machado, but, I think everyone else on that roster, I think no one's untouchable.
Okay. That's where we are. We'll see where this goes. It's going to be really interesting as we march through the month of December. He's talking to everybody, which he normally does, but...
yeah, he should. That's why we love him.
Why? Why'd you trade all this to get this? Now you're going to trade this to get something else. Why? Okay, go ahead, John.
All right, let's go on here to Carlos. He goes, how will the Green Bay Packers do without Parsons? This Sunday, the Pack take on the losers from Chicago with first place on the line.
Well, they're hurting. They really are dinged up. They got a scare with Christian Watson. He got hurt again yesterday. He cannot stay on the field. Now, they're saying he did not injure a lung. They were fearful there might have been a shoulder injury or a lung injury. He was released from the hospital, I think, late last night. Now, whether or not he's going to play next week remains to be seen, but losing Parsons is huge because quarterback sacks had really been elevated, and losing Micah Parsons with the torn knee ligament. And, the two injuries were fluke injuries. It's not like they got cut or somebody rolled on them. Guys, they just planted and their knee exploded. Same thing happened with Mahomes landing on his left leg, and in the minute you could see a hyperextension, you said, oh, this is not good. So it was a bad day around the league for major injuries.
Do you like those Packers all-white uniforms?
Yeah, they're really kind of cool. Yeah, I call them the snow white uniforms, and the white helmet looks strange. But
it is strange, but it is kind of a good look,
Not if you're playing in Lambeau Field and snow like hell, you can't see the players.
Yeah, I mean that was a tough go for the Packers.
Yeah, real tough. But they lost to a really, really good team.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, we move on.
We move on. Okay, let's go here to Callan. Afternoon, gents. Hey, thoughts on the Quinn Hughes trade? This has to be one of the most stunning early season blockbusters I can remember. Thoughts?
I got friends in Vancouver, and they're just sick. They think that ownership has allowed management to just strip mine the entire franchise. They're in total rebuild mode. They traded guys away each of the last 2 years in the middle of the season. They had some crisis in that room. Elias Pettersson was a phenomenal player. He had 102 points 2 years ago, and he's just not been the same player since. And now they moved everybody. Now they moved Quinn Hughes. Quinn Hughes, and we don't get to see a lot of Canuck hockey. I do follow it. He is so gifted as an offensive defenseman. He's a really good player, and he still had 2 years to go before he became an unrestricted free agent. Now, granted, they got a haul. I mean, they got 3 for 1 plus the number 1 pick. They got some really good players in Minnesota Wild, but they got hardly anybody left on the roster. 2 years ago in the spring, John and I were doing this podcast, and we were so fired up that look at what Vancouver's doing in the Stanley Cup playoffs. My God, they're about to go to the Western Conference Finals. They didn't get it done. They got really close. They haven't been the same since. And now they've shed all their players. Outside of the Scandinavian Pettersson, they don't have any legitimate star talent on the roster. I feel so bad for Thatcher Demko. He's the last one standing. He's the last of their cornerstone players, a goaltender, and he's kind of stuck there right now. So it's great deal from Minnesota, but they're rebuilding everything. Rebuild takes so long in the National Hockey League, so I feel bad for the people in Vancouver.
Have you ever been on like a studio talk show just exclusively for hockey? Because, I mean, I can imagine Hacksaw, on hockey night in Canada. I mean, have you ever explored that path?
Not really, because it's their sport. North of the border, they know everything about everything. And this side of the border, nah, you don't know anything about it.
Okay. So
do I talk hockey? Yes. Do I follow hockey? Yes. Could I hold a cogent conversation about a lot of teams and a lot of storylines? Yeah. Do I know who the third line center of the New York Rangers is? No, because I don't have enough hours in the day to do it because I'm doing all this other stuff. But no, I've done it before. I do talk hockey. I do 3. I call it NFL notebook segments. Mm-hmm. One's in Edmonton, one's in Toronto, and one is in Winnipeg every week on either podcast or radio. So they tap me, but we occasionally drift off and we talk about NHL stories too, because I know I have covered and broadcast and have a long relationship with the Kings and the Ducks, and I do pay attention to a lot of stuff going on around the NHL.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, Hacksaw Talks Hockey.
I am the Renaissance man.
The hockey hotline.
As I said, I'd like to look at you in the eyes and say, puck you.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
All right. This is a 2-parter. This is from Titles for Forever. Talking about the Padres. Getting more and more value would be great, but that's not what he's doing. And he says the Padres win an over-under. He has them at 85.
Well, we don't know what the roster is going to be. Yeah, I don't think we can forecast the 2026 season until we get to spring training and see what the roster actually looks like. I mean, outside of Pivetta, is there anybody in that starting rotation that you're excited about? I'm not. With apologies to Joe Musgrove, but it takes a year and a half for guys to come off that surgery. So, yes, you can be hopeful that Musgrove can be vintage Joe, but we don't know that until he actually shows it once we get to opening day. And then beyond that, I don't see anything that makes me think they have playoff pitching in their rotation. Do they have a great bullpen? Yes. Do they have a decent everyday lineup? Yes, and they may add to that still. But he just has to keep doing things because some of the other things he's done haven't worked out. And he's overpaid for everything on that roster.
Well, all the GMs are going through this, because you got players that are becoming free agents. You got to constantly be retooling, rebuilding. I know last year we thought that they were going to win 85. That was your prediction.
87, I think I said.
But you had them at third. Going into the season, you predicted third place.
87 wins.
And they ended up getting
93.
Yeah, so it was like 2 90-win seasons in a row. They keep exceeding expectations. So as a result, I'm willing to give A.J. Preller that leash to keep doing this. The question is the ownership going to give him that leash? Has there been any update on his contract?
No, nothing on the contract, though they keep saying we'll get it done. And from a budgetary standpoint, John Seidler, who's hardly said anything of value except, well, we hope to have the same payroll, which might be $212 million. But right now, with the erosion of guys leaving, it's way less than 212, and all the pitchers and the players are coming off the free agent board hour by hour, and AJ's not been able to do a deal. Now he's talking about trading guys that he overpaid to get here to begin with.
Yeah, but I think some of this is like bluff. It's a little bit of distraction, deflection. It's like chaos creation.
He's creating chaos so I have something to talk about.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So AJ is producing my podcast now. Okay.
But it's interesting that, if you don't want to spend the money on the free agent guys, especially since some of them, like Chris Bassett, or Verlander or Scherzer, you don't want to have to pay for that. So maybe he's thinking, okay, there's these up-and-coming pitchers that are on the brink with the Mets organization. Right. Why not take one of those guys, pay him the major league minimum, and then you can move your money around.
Yeah, but at this point, the marquee guys are coming off the board. There won't be anybody to pay who'd be real credible that changes your team.
Well, you said, it's IMAI, it's King. Right. I think those got to be the top two right now.
Yeah, but if King winds up going to one of those three finalists, now King's off the board. And is IMAI going to accept a 3-year creatively financed deal? Or is he going to go for a bigger payday in Seattle? Or I don't know if he's going to San Francisco now, but I'm just disappointed, or I don't even know if that's the right word. He does what he does. I accept what he does, but what's the end game here? I mean, you traded the whole bloody farm system to get O'Hearn and Laureano. That was a 6-for-2 deal.
Yeah.
And now you're going to trade Laureano, and you have not re-signed O'Hearn?
Well, it depends what you get back from Laureano. And those guys helped us get to the playoffs.
And you traded DeVries in a huge package to get Miller. You're going to trade Miller away?
Well, again, Miller is probably one of the most valuable assets because he's controllable for the next 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And, there's still the potential he could become a starter. So, I mean, if he ever moved Miller, I mean, the Yankees or the Mets would pay a boatload for him. Mm-hmm. So, it's the way he sees it. That's just why I like him. He's a wheeler dealer gambler guy, but to him they're all assets. They're like poker chips that can keep moving around.
When did you go to work for the Padres?
I know. I just tell you, I've suffered so long as a Padre fan, and now we have a GM that's willing to take a risk, and there's ownership there to back him. Maybe not to the same degree as Peter Seidler because he's no longer here. Rest in peace. But let AJ cook.
Man from left field. Thank goodness I have a co-host that I allow on my podcast to broadcast from left field with his opinion. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. Thanks for joining us forever.
Okay, here comes a cocky Dodger fan. This is Daniel. Hey, it'll be 10 years before the Pods will ever have another window to win, while the Dodgers just spank the living daylights out of little brother. Can't wait.
No, just feel free to pile on. Go ahead. Just be mean at Christmas time. But wouldn't it be really fascinating? Because right now you got the Mets and the Yankees that are whining about Dodger payroll, Dodger luxury tax. Wouldn't it be amazing if this becomes the catalyst for a salary cap and an increase Florida spending because of what the Dodgers did in baseball?
Well, yeah, and it's also the expiration of the collective bargaining agreement. They got to come to the table. And, yeah, people are going to say, see, the Dodgers are spending almost $500 million on payroll when you add it all up with the luxury tax.
Does this mean you're not going to send us a Christmas card? Thank you for joining us.
All right, let's hear some more Dodger talk. This is from One for All. He goes, I like the Dodgers telling Tyler Glasnow in response to trade rumors, you're not going anywhere.
I'd find it hard to believe anybody would take on Glasnow's contract only because of injury history. When he's healthy, he's really good, but he's not consistently healthy, and he has good starts, good innings, all of a sudden he blows up. But I think people called the Dodgers. I don't know that Andrew Friedman was shopping him because I don't think they could trade him. I think you can trade the contract and the history that goes with that contract. I think that's the big issue.
Well, there's some talk, that the Dodger fans think they got a shot at Skubal. And then right now, like Snell is the only lefty, so if Skubal comes in, they give him another lefty. So maybe they would move Glasnow potentially.
But I can't see. Detroit taking Glasnow's contract. Skubel's better than Glasnow. Why would you trade Skubel to begin with?
They only got 1 year left on the deal.
Get the Dodger farm system.
And so they might be able to kind of creatively flip that. Now, by the way, did you notice like one of the names on the big board, available pitchers was Ryan Pepiot?
Yes.
And wasn't he in the Glasnow trade?
Yes.
And I remember he was such a highly thought of Dodger prospect. And now he's a free agent and he's open bidding.
Well, he's not a free agent. He's still got years to go, but Tampa is moving some pieces around. Tampa's very deep in young pitching, and Tampa historically doesn't want to pay arbitration-eligible guys who are going to win an arbitration case.
Okay.
So we'll see where that one goes. Anyhow, we'll continue to track this because we're a baseball-centric podcast on top of everything else that we talk about. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go to our friend Flegel. We'll switch it up. Talk Michigan football. Michigan paid the coach well. They had no clue this guy was a nut. He's not in seclusion. He's in the unemployment line in an ankle bracelet, about to be served divorce papers.
Yeah, he's got massive problems. Michigan man, my God. They've got a huge problem. With the NCAA, and now obviously with the law, it's obvious to me Sharon Moore is a sleazebag of a coach and a person. Boy, you betrayed your own program. I mean, common sense. You're going to date somebody within the athletic department infrastructure. You're going to offer her money to be silent, and then you threaten her when this leaks out. She turned him in. She broke off the relationship. He harassed her. She went to the athletic department with all the data. And then they fired him immediately. Just, why would you do that? But what does it say about who the person is, Sharon Moore? And by the way, Jim Harbaugh's right-hand guy. Jim Harbaugh's hand-picked replacement that coach recommended the university hire. What does it say about Harbaugh, the person? And this is the fifth set of incidents in 10 years at Michigan involving people affiliated with the Harbaugh operation. Bad.
Yeah. I mean, Sharon Moore is just a damn fool. I mean, why would you throw it all away? I just remember when Harbaugh left and then Moore was the guy that was anointed, and there was a lot of feel good about the guy. They were thinking, okay, he wasn't like one of the coordinators, right?
Yeah.
And he got a chance to move up.
But he also violated the NCAA rules twice, and he deleted information.
Oh, as part of the Harbaugh case?
The Spygate case?
The Spygate?
Yeah. And then also the violations about recruiting during the COVID blackout period.
Interesting. So the Michigan brass kept him around even though he was part of that. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we can maybe direct some blame to, up the food chain.
New broom sweeps clean.
Here we go.
Michigan man.
Okay.
Bo Schembechler must be spinning in his grave.
Yeah, that's just sad.
Oh.
I mean, it's a disgrace.
Who are you going to hire?
Yeah, maybe Willingham, from Utah.
Yep.
You're saying he had years left on his contract with Utah?
I think he had a couple of years left and just elected to step away. I mean, I was broadsided by the fact that story. Bro, he's done such a great job, and he's not been in the limelight. Jeez, he's a hell of a coach. But sources say he wants to coach again. I just think he needed a change of venue. And he's not leaving the program in disrepair. It's not NCAA violations or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, interesting gentleman. Really interesting guy.
Where was he before?
Oh, he's been there 21 years.
That's okay. That's the thing.
I think he might have been at BYU. Might have been somewhere else in the Pac-10. It's been a while. I can't recall.
Well, if he's been there 21 years, oh my God.
Yeah.
You just need to change the scenery, maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Brian Kelly, Ann Arbor. I don't think so.
That ain't happening.
I'm not touching
that's
that
not
one
gonna
either.
Happen. No. But what's interesting in the 60 Minutes piece when they were talking about Indiana last night, and the AD said, we wanted a head coach with head coaching experience, right? So it's making and they ended up finding, Signetti, who was always overlooked, and there was a great storyline how he transformed the culture at Indiana. So Michigan needs to do what Indiana did.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting. UCLA is doing what Indiana did. James Madison.
Oh, yeah.
That's where that current coach came from.
That's Signetti. Yeah.
James Madison. And Chesney replaced Signetti at the Harrisonburg, Virginia school. Now, He's gone to UCLA.
Is that another cradle of coaches that you like to talk about?
Mike, could be.
Well, you always say Ohio is the cradle of coaches.
Well, Miami of Ohio, that's their reputation, going back to Paul Brown. And that was a lot of third downs ago.
Yeah, right on.
Paul Brown, Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler came from there. So, yeah, there's a lot of great coaches that came out of Miami of Ohio. Sean McVay.
Oh, wow. He really?
Yes.
So Muck-Miami, right?
Exactly. That's what those of us who went to Ohio University said.
Okay, let's keep on track. Let's go to our friend John. Hey, Lee, you would really look better wearing a Washington Capitals hoodie.
I got so many hoodies, it's ridiculous. I don't own anything that doesn't have a logo on it. If you took everything out of my closet that had a logo on it, I'd be coming in here in a T-shirt naked. I don't own anything that doesn't have a logo on it.
I don't want to see Hacksaw naked. But you know what? If you want to buy him a Capitals a hoodie, I'm sure you'd wear it for the podcast.
I just put it in the closet with all the others.
Okay. All right. Let's keep on going here. And yeah, this is talking more about Padres. This is from Johnny Boy Johns. Hey, this organization does not know how to manage a baseball team.
Well, they've been close. Product has been more consistent under A.J. Preller than it was prior. But at the end of the day, I have to argue with my best friend in left field all the time. Has your ass been to a World Series game yet at Petco Park recently? No. Since they've been doing business the way they're doing it? No, they haven't. So that's supposed to be the end goal. If you keep churning it and changing it, do you ever get close? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, they're right on the edge. Yeah. They can
the edge of falling off.
No, like the edge, it just nothing ever seems to go the Padres' way. You know what I mean? It's like there's going to be bad luck. You know, like that bullpen game. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was insane. You know, so hopefully they find a way to overcome that.
Okay. Johnny, I can't explain his opinions, but he's a fan. That's why we all love him. Go ahead. Next one.
Okay. All right. Let's go down the list here, and we will get. Who should we get involved, Lee? I'm looking at all these names. There's just so many of them. Oh, here's a good one. This is from Bob Bello. It's before the internet, I relied on sports radio, i.e. the high-speed sports wire and ESPN for sports news. He goes, yeah, I listened to Lee during the 1980s.
Well, there's a lot of those people running around, and they do remember things, and it's nice to be remembered, and it's nice to a degree to be respected by some. Not everybody likes what I do. Not everybody respects me. I accept that, too. That goes with the territory.
You're like Rodney Dangerfield of sports. Okay, let's go here to Eric. My stepfather, Joe Stein, spent a lot of time with Hacksaw on the air, especially during the draft. The sound of my childhood is the buzzing of an AM radio with Joe listening to Hacksaw.
Joe is a fine gentleman. He was actually, at one point, Joe was a radio TV columnist of the Union Tribune, and that's where I first met him. He was always nice to me, always fair. And then I found out he was a draftnik. He just loved the NFL draft, and I invited Joe to come be part of our draft shows. So, you know, that's when the whole damn draft was held, I don't know, on a Saturday. But by the time when I was the voice of the Chargers, we used to do a 9-hour draft show, which would get us through the first round. Damn first round would go forever. And so Joe Stein and Laslovic and Pat Curran was our inside man across the hallway. And so we did 9 hours. Joe is a great gentleman. He passed away so prematurely, but nice gentleman.
Yeah, right on. I remember that name.
Yeah,
you know, from back in the day. But you guys did a great job on the draft. You know, especially you talk about those vignettes that you would build, pre-produce for certain players. You know, let's take a look at Ty Detmer from BYU. And you had like a 30-second.
Joe Tutino would do the 30-second vignettes of every guy that we expected to go in the first round. Joe, we call him Bulldog. He works so bloody hard on that. I mean, because we'd pick about 35 or 40 players that we thought were going to go in the first round, and Joe would create the vignettes with each player. It was well produced. It was well packaged.
You know, it's interesting because I follow Joe on Facebook, you know, just because friends of friends and everything. He seems like a really good guy, and I think he's still broadcasting soccer.
Yeah, he does LA Galaxy.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's been doing that for 20-plus years. Kind of disappeared off the radio landscape and the TV landscape in San Diego, but he commutes up and back there. I see him every once in a while at Christmas get-togethers.
Right on. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Then Babello also goes on. Local guys only talk Padres, Aztecs. Lee talks about all the teams.
Damn right.
Okay. Let's go here to Paul. The Dodgers have $1 billion in deferred payments.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers now, because Diaz gets deferred payments too, I think the Dodgers have 10 players with deferrals that run at all different levels through 2036. Of course, Ohtani's is the biggest amount of money there, too.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, how they're restructuring. Now, that might be something in the collective bargaining agreement they put some boundaries around, don't you think?
But everybody's doing it now. Toronto's been on a big spending spree. Toronto deferred, I want to say, $24 million or $34 million of Dylan Cease's contract.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So everybody in baseball is now doing some deferrals. You can only, but at the end of the day, you can only do so many deferrals because that money's going to come up and it's going to eat at your budget in 2025 or 2031 or whatever. Padres have deferrals too, not to the amount of money the Dodgers do, but so that's so much money comes off your budget every year because you got this deferral. It's going to kick in.
Yeah. It's interesting, talk about Dylan Cease. I saw an interview of him on one of the MLB channels, and they were asking him about, the players in San Diego and how he liked his experience here. And he talked glowingly of Jason Adam and what a quality man he is. And he also spoke highly of Michael King, and saying how he's really intelligent and, he's going to have a really good career. And then the guys were saying, Michael King stiffed him on an interview one time, and so he was kind of bitter. But Michael King always seemed like a pretty good guy,
Yeah, I've talked to him once or twice. Honest, sincere. Found himself at a later age as a starting pitcher and pitched pretty well, but again, wrapped around these injuries that just kind of came out of nowhere last season. And he's still unsigned. I thought he'd go earlier, but baseball people that I network with say teams are a little leery of this nerve thing in the shoulder. And that's why it's only a 3-year deal, and it's not going to be a 5-year deal. And maybe there's a limit on the amount of money people are willing to give a guy that's come through this scapular shoulder issue.
Yeah.
Impingement, whatever the word of the day is.
You become like a medical professional, learning about all these nerve endings and things.
When you get hurt, when you get injured, I know more about sciatica now than I ever cared to know.
Okay. All right, let's go here to Joe. Hey, did you see how much shorter Diego Pavia was compared to the other 3 quarterback Heisman finalists in their lineup picture?
He's a really good player. He's a fire hydrant of a player, the way he's built. But, boy, I was so bothered by all the things he did and he said in and around the Heisman festivities and then going out partying with his posse. And, so now you're Johnny Manziel. How'd that work out for him post-football career?
Manziel was great. He was like a flash, for a few years.
He was a comet that went up and went down.
Yeah, exactly. But it was nice seeing him at the Heisman Trophy ceremony, kind of in that back row. So I remember it was Johnny Football, man. He was just made the biggest splash.
He had a persona, and everybody thought it was cool. He'd walk around snapping his fingers, dollar bills. Then he was throwing interceptions, and suddenly his career went down the drain. He was out of football and all kinds of personal problems. Pavia I'm sorry, he just conducted himself as all-time ass. I mean, why would you denigrate the Heisman process and then say something negative about Mendoza?
But, it's, how do I say it? It's like what he's really trying to do is not necessarily, it's mostly about him saying, hey, I'm great and I'm worthy of this award.
Nobody's begrudging him the chance he was one of the 4 finalists, but then he acts like an ass.
Well, I don't know. It's different today than it was in 1955, Lee. So, just the culture is different, and so, I don't know. I thought I didn't see any of the pregame, postgame stuff. I just saw the 60-minute show.
You go on social media and you see some of the stuff that was going on with him at this post
But they're young and they're in New York. And it's Vanderbilt. He's got a lot to be proud of. And if his buddies are there with him celebrating a night in New York, good on him.
Okay.
But he was shorter than the others.
Doesn't matter. He still acted like an all-time ass.
Okay.
My co-host in left field, supporting the way this guy acted. If you've seen any, you go on social media, you say, oh, why would you do that? Okay, John, next one.
Okay, next one here. Let's go to, I had a bunch of other Padre ones. I was trying to mix them in one after the other here. Let's go to, this was an interesting one. This is from EGS Pod. Hey, what if you didn't trade Pivetta and he chooses free agency? Then you get nothing for him.
If you don't trade Pivetta, you see how deep he takes you into the season. If you're out of the crunch by trade deadline time, then you move him and get something else. Can he opt out? Yes. Does he have a right to opt out according to the capitalist? Yes. But, are you going to get equal value? I mean, if you're trading Pivetta to the New York Mets and you're getting one or two young prospects, they're not going to give you 32 quality starts because they've never been to the major league level. So it's a tough set of circumstances. And all of a sudden, now the Padres have become a dumping ground for other guys on short-term contracts and will have no continuity, no ability to build anything out here. No?
Well, in order to get something, you got to give up something, And so you might be thinking, hey, we got Pivetta for $1 million last year, and he had a great season. It's kind of like we're playing with house money, So if they can flip the contract, they can avoid the $19 million because he's likely going to have a regression to the mean, not be quite as good next year. That might be part of Preller's, kind of swagger, is wheeling and dealing.
But if we wind up with guys who are not established, then what do we got? Now we don't have a 32-game starting ace.
I mean, what would you do? I mean, you every solution you tend to think, screw that, we can't make it work. Preller got us into this mess. I mean, you can sign guys, but then there's a limit on how much you can sign. You can trade guys, but to trade, you got to give up people to get people. I mean, would you just sign King and IMAI and be done with it?
Yes. If I had Pivetta, King, and IMAI, that's pretty good rotation to me, and then I'll plug in the back of my rotation and see if I find another gem. But you trade Pivetta, now you got unknowns everywhere from 1 through 5, and you're walking around the streets with your fingers crossed that Joe Musgrove can be Joe Musgrove. And history has shown guys coming off these surgeries need 1.5 to 2 years before they can be what they used to be, if they're going to be what they used to be.
It's easy to spend someone else's money.
That's what you keep telling me about the wife down the hallway.
Because if you got, like you say, IMAI might be 3 years, 33. That's what you'd pay him. So
they're creatively trying to finance a deal that would allow him to be a free agent a second time.
Yeah, I got you. But the point is that if they were to sign 2 pitchers, they're committing to an additional like $30 million a year at least. Maybe even $40 million a year, depending on what kind of a deal because pitching is so expensive now.
Well, but the thing is, you're convincing IMAI to come here for $11 million per year, if that's the Padre price, and then you're signing Michael King, and maybe that's 15, 20, 22. So you're not talking adding $40 million this year. You'd be talking about IMAI at 11. And maybe you start King at 15, which is almost double what he made last year. That's 11 and 15. That's $26 million. So now the second year, money would go up. But I don't know. If I were King, I would do it that way. I'd try that way, but maybe it wouldn't work. Maybe IMAI is going to be convinced to go to San Francisco or go pitch for the Mets or the New York Yankees. I hear he wants to pitch on the West Coast. There's not a hell of a lot of places he can pitch on the West Coast beyond San Diego.
Yeah. There's limited slots. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's keep going here. This is from Music to My Ears, and thank you again for the donation. Hey, sorry if this was discussed, but Yu Darvish considering retirement after the UCL surgery? People jumping off the sinking ship.
Well, no, not jumping off the sinking ship. He's going to miss 2026. He's got a mega amount of money. If he retires, that money comes back to the Padres. I don't know that he gets it all. Some of it's probably covered with an insurance policy, et cetera. But he's not going to be here as part of 2026 if he elected to retire. Remember, he's 40. He's pitched 20 years. He's pitched over 3,000 innings. He's had a hell of a combined career, Japan, and all things Major League Baseball. But he won't be part of this equation.
Do you see his son is signed with UC San Diego?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he's a nice man. He really is. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't really know that because he's not adopted the English language to the point he's free flow. Everything's through an interpreter, which it shouldn't be that way. But
every once in a while, I'll hear him speak.
Yeah.
And it's almost like by accident. And he strikes me as, he's not a native speaker, but he does very well. I think he's just careful.
Yeah. The thing that really turned me on him, when Peter Seidler died, he and his family were the first ones that went to the stadium steps when they had this memorial thing with the flowers and the flags.
That was special.
He and his wife were the first ones that went representing Padre players there. I think he's classy gentleman.
He really is. I mean, he's legit a special dude, no doubt about it. Okay, and who else are we getting in here? There's one more guy here on the list that I wanted to get involved, but Lee, we're running out of these guys. Let's get some social media folks in. We'll go here, and let's talk about it's like some Dodger roster talk. This is from Coconuts. Hey, no to Bregman. Murakami to third base, Muncy to second, and Tucker to right.
Question is, they probably have some money left to creatively do a deal on one more guy. I don't know who that guy's going to be. I mean, there's been talk about Tucker, but they want Kyle Tucker at their price, Dodger price, not Kyle Tucker's price. Bregman, it's been really quiet. I think he's rock solid. Boston's back in the talks for him. But this guy, he walked away from $40 million a year in Boston. Boston gave him 3 years at 30, 40, 40, and he said no. So what's the price tag on Bregman? Maybe instead they turn around and make a trade. Duran from Boston is now on the trade market again. Obviously, Stephen Kwan, who I really like. I think he's an unsung good everyday ball player. He's available out of Cleveland, and Dodgers are very deep in prospects that they could use, and that's the kind of player Cleveland wants in a trade. So there will be one more addition. I don't know how much more money they're willing to take on, but I surely don't think they want to give Kyle Tucker the kind of Kyle Tucker price. I mean, at one point there was rumored 10 years at $400 million. Dodgers are not doing that. Nobody else is doing that either that I see.
Yeah, it was in talks with Dodgers, or we thought he was and he wasn't, and now he maybe is on a shorter term deal. I've heard Bregman might be going to the Yankees. That's been one of the speculated landing spots for him. But Muncy he's a versatile dude.
Yeah, but he's got 200,000 miles on him too.
Yeah, he's interesting because he has the power numbers that are always really solid. But from a batting average perspective, nothing fancy. But I guess from an OPS angle, it still looks good.
He's got a lot of years on those tires. And that's an interesting thing. I mean, he was in Oakland A.
It's hard to believe.
And they got rid of him. And he came here, and then he became more of a complete ball player at Dodger Stadium. He's had a nice career with the Dodgers. Is he a superstar? No. But guy hits for power. Guy's in a lineup all the time. And he's had a bunch of physical injuries and has come back from them. So he's not bad. He'll finish his life as a Dodger. I see him. I see Max Muncy doing what Justin Turner did when Turner got here, and they kind of resurrected Justin Turner's career.
Yeah. I mean, Chris Taylor was another guy like that, where he came from outside the organization.
He's a super utility man, but Justin Turner and Muncy were...
Oh, yeah.
Let me play every day.
But Chris Taylor had his moments where he would surprise you. So the point being, I think, is that Dodgers scouting department, they know how to identify the guys that they can fix.
Yep.
And by the way, have you seen there's another Max Muncy? Like it's a young guy.
Yep.
I think he might be with the Athletics, but no relation.
No.
But exactly the same name.
Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Angels. And this is from Josh Durian. He goes, Angels made a good trade. It is definitely not normal for a physical on a trade. Even when they do something right, everyone shoots them down. I think it's crazy. For a year of a comfortable starting pitcher for 1 year of Ward on the opposite end of 30, even if they get only 2 good years out of Grayson, it's a win. They shed salary costs, got a player with a lot of upside for 3 more years than the player they originally had.
Well, Grayson is coming off surgery, though, and that's why there's a big hullabaloo about you did not give him a physical to see actually where he was. But he was throwing in Florida. Actually, he was throwing down in the Baltimore spring training camp. So at that point in time, they must have believed that this guy's green light go. I mean, he was 20-8 before he got hurt. I mean, he gave the Orioles a good year and a half, and he's got vibrant stuff. So I think that's a good acquisition. But they need lots of players, and they've not been very active in terms of getting lots more players.
Yeah, that's standard practice that they don't They don't do medical. They just trade medical paperwork. Mm-hmm. They don't actually do a physical.
Yep.
Is that a limitation in the collective bargaining agreement?
No, I think you can mandate a physical. You have to ask for it or push for it. They didn't. The other pitcher they got was Manoah from Toronto, and he was a really vibrant pitcher. And then he got hurt. He had shoulder problems, forearm problems, control problems. He's coming in the door maybe as the third starter. If Grayson can be what he was early in Baltimore, and they can restart Manoah what he was at the start in Toronto, those are two pretty good pitchers, but they both got hurt.
Yeah. Angels, man, digging out of a hole. Okay, here, let's talk a little Aztec football. Comments about Sean Lewis. This is from Day One Rob. Hey, this program needs to continue to build towards competing for conference championships. I believe Coach Lewis is on the right track. They beat bad teams early on, Hacksaw. They play who is on the schedule, and they beat their two most heated rivals, Fresno and Boise, and with a winning record. San Diego State dealt with injuries themselves during the season. That's part of the game.
They beat backup quarterbacks at Boise and Fresno at the point they got them on the schedule. Outside of Cal, who finished really upbeat, they didn't beat anybody else. But at the end of the day, they're 9-3 and they're playing in a bowl game. And let's go to New Mexico and take care of business, come back 10-3, because they're used that as a launching pad to go into the new Pac-12, a.k.a. Mountain West 2.0. Did you see what happened to Boise in the bowl game with Washington?
Yeah, they got worked.
Oh, their quarterbacks threw 5 interceptions in that game.
Now, that was the L.A. Bowl, and no one was there.
Yeah. And that bowl is ended. That was the last bowl game that we played there.
This is the thing. Is like, all the attention now is on the playoff. Mm-hmm. The bowl games are nice, but it's like, an era of days gone past.
Yeah, they folded. The L.A. Bowl at SoFi Stadium has ended. The Bahamas Bowl, which was kind of unique for Mid-American Conference teams, trip to the Bahamas in December.
Yeah.
Damn, I'll sign for that.
Yeah.
That Bahamas Bowl has now ended. They're going away. There'll be some more fatalities along the way because the playoffs have changed everything.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's go here. It's a little Charger talk from Indelicious talking about Justin Herbert. MVP of the NFL, hands down, bolt up.
I don't know if he'll get MVP votes because Josh Allen is having an unbelievably dominant statistical year, and but Justin is just a really great quarterback. As I said early on in this podcast, what they have done in the last couple of weeks with a defense has allowed them to win games that I thought they would be in trouble. And Justin Herbert's a fine player. If they fix this offensive line in the offseason, I mean, they got to get on their Christmas wish list is health. They get these guys back. They look good. And I give Joe Ortiz credit. I mean, they found Vidal at running back. They drafted Omani Hampton. That's a big-time, tough guy running back. Look at Omehe, the linebacker they got from Baltimore, steined off the street, and all the quarterback sacks and pressures he's gotten in the last 5 weeks since they got here. Ortiz has done a good job adding to this roster. And his drafts, his last 2 drafts, successful.
Yeah, I mean, Herbert is just what he's doing and what he's accomplishing is incredible.
Yep.
I mean, it's just superhuman the way you come back from hand surgery. I mean, how in the heck do you play with hand surgery? You're getting smacked around back there, in a pocket, especially him with that leaky offensive line.
He's had 5 major injuries over the course of his career, and he hardly comes out of the lineup.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
He's a really fine player.
Well, now, in the game, I noticed that Quentin Johnston was a scratch. I mean, what's going on with him?
He got injured in practice in the middle of the week. I don't think we're going to see him ever again. I think he's...
Really?
Yeah, because as a veteran, his price tag keeps going up. His productivity does not match what he's being paid. And
well, he had some moments early on in the season.
Yeah, but has there been any level of consistency over 3 or 4 years?
No, he's like Mr. Butterfingers.
Yeah, so I don't think he'll be back a year from now. Because the 2 kids they drafted this past year, Harris and the other one, Lambert Smith, they've made enough big plays to warrant a longer look.
Okay.
Couple more?
Yeah, we got a few minutes. We can get them all in. Let's talk a little bit more Padres. This is from Mike. Hey, Padre ownership needs to trim some of the fat off this payroll so new ownership doesn't walk in automatically losing money. Jake isn't making much money baseball-wise, but as a San Diego Padre, he's making a fortune for doing unspectacular work. They can't afford that right now, and he isn't the only one.
He's affordable. I'd call Seattle. You know, they need a second baseman. Give them Cronenworth. Get Cronenworth and send somebody else there and get Luis Castillo here. That's an established starting pitcher. Now, the problem is Castillo, I think, has got a pretty decent payday. I don't know if he's making $17 million, maybe $20 million over the next 2 years. But that's the kind of deal that could probably pan out because you need to find a person that needs a second baseman or a center fielder or a first baseman. Just give Cronenworth a glove. You know, the Mets don't have a center fielder. Talk to the Mets about, you want Cronenworth? I'll take your left-handed pitcher, David Peterson. That'd be a swap that would work.
Cronenworth in center? Really?
Yeah, he can play center. He can play anywhere.
I know he can play anywhere, but, you know, he's...
I bring it up because the Mets have a hole in center.
Usually you want, like, the most fleet-of-foot guy out there in center field. You want, like, a Tim Raines kind of a guy. I mean, Cronenworth is... if he had to play outfield, I figure he'd be in left field.
Right.
That's kind of what I had figured. But also, if I'm on the receiving end, how excited am I about having Jake Cronenworth? I mean, the metrics usually look pretty good in an unsexy way, but for the most part, I kind of agree with Mike. You know, he's not doing spectacular work.
No, but he's rock solid, and you can't get him out of the lineup, and he's got a strong glove and a good arm, and he grinds, and he's multi-position. I wish he was hitting more than 243, but he does have some pop. But he's trustworthy in the field. You know, if I had to trade Cronenworth and I could get David Peterson, the left-handed pitcher from the Mets, that's probably win-win for both teams.
So, like, if you traded Cronenworth and you don't have a rise, then who's playing first base, second base?
Well, you always go back in. You get a rise to come here at a discount price, so you bring O'Hearn back at a fair price. Those guys are all on a street corner. Or you go make another deal. You go find somebody.
Yeah, they're going to have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Let's do one more here.
One more, okay. And did we get this one in about Michigan? No, let's go to Godless Sasquatch. Hey, this multi-million-dollar lawsuit will soon drop. Always a fall guy while the so-called Board of Regents and the president remain. When you are at their level, they bear responsibility for all such fiascos. But at the University of Michigan, winning excuses such toxic behavior.
Well, you know, they got nailed by the NCAA, and they did not get put on probation. They did not want to penalize the innocent kids, the aftermath of the Harbaugh fiasco. I mean, they got fined $30 million by the NCAA, stripped of scholarships and obviously recruiting visits, etc. And all those coaches Harbaugh's got 13 years of sanctions against. He'll never coach in college football again.
Crazy. And
a whole bunch of these other assistants. And there's so much dirt under the fingernails because of all these different incidents. As I said, 5 different NCAA sets of violations in a 10-year window. So I think they're going to go in there, and I think they're going to sweep that place clean. And they're going to have to hire a new set of Michigan men to fix that thing.
What would you think about all this if you were Dustin May, the basketball coach? You just kind of landed there in Michigan. They're playing great.
No, he's got money. He's got a great NIL package. It places a magnet for drawing athletes. They paid their athletes very well.
But it could be that they bring in a whole new regime, and May could be out of a job too.
Not if he's going to the NCAAs all the time.
But if they're going to clean house, and they're going to clean house.
Clean house the athletic director. They'll clean house on the football side. It's not going to touch Dustin May. There's been no violations in basketball.
Okay.
And by the way, they're second in the nation right now in the rankings.
Yeah, they're doing great.
Oh yeah, they're chasing Arizona. March Madness, big boys.
Big boys.
Okay, listen, we hope you have enjoyed this podcast. We put topics on the table. We tell you what we think. We thank you for joining us in Fans Forum, and we do Sports Talk Radio the way it should be done. We will be back here Thursday at 1:30. Want you to share, subscribe, tell everybody who we are, give us a thumbs up, hit the follow button, give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us. And, of course, check my website. You'll love the best 15 minutes in sports. It's all written. It's there every morning. Join Hacksaw's Insiders Group so you can get the 2 emails we send out daily. We do more than your damn newspaper does, so make sure you get registered to join Hacksaw's Insiders Group. Follow me on social media and forgive my co-host friend for his opinions from left field, but I like having him here.
Hey, man, it's a partnership. All right, it works.
Blame me, but I don't believe in all the things you believe in.
No, yeah. All right.
Have a great day. We'll see you Thursday.
And
we'll see you Thursday at 1:30. Thanks, as always, for being part of this podcast on Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast app.
Touchdown, San Diego!
For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.